It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Andy Ihnatko, Don McAllister, Alex Lindsay, they're all here to talk about, yes, the big announcement. October 4th it is. We'll have our best guesses and our final guesses as to what Apple will announce next Tuesday, next on MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 266, recorded September 27th, 2011. Here's your sucker hat. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Text Expander from Smile. Save time and effort with Text Expander by typing short abbreviations to insert text snippets you frequently use. For a free demo, visit smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. And by GoToMeeting. Meet easily with clients and colleagues even when traveling or working remotely. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com. Use the promo code MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers your latest Mac news. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen, our last MacBreak Weekly before the big event. We have gathered together the royalty of Macintosh technology news, starting with Mr. Andy Ihnatko over here to my left from the Chicago Sun-Times. Queen Andy, we'd like to call him. And he's at Comixology. You know, it looks like a comic book shop, but it's not. It's a software company.
No, they're the guys who do that really great like comic book app that DC and Marvel and everybody are distributing their books through. And since I'm in New York for the release of the new Kindle, they're nice enough to offer me some space, office space, and some Wi-Fi here. Because their business is pumping out huge graphics files to millions and millions of to servers, so they got pretty good bandwidth.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. We'll talk about the Kindle Fire in just a little bit. But we have other news as well. To my right, Mr. Alex Lindsay, who cannot stop playing with an Android phone. An Android phone. You know, this is the Sprint Galaxy S2 on Sprint. It's called the Evo Touch EG40.
Epic 4G
Epic
Touch.
4G Touch. Thank you. That was Eileen Rivera of All About Android. She knows these things. And that just came out on Friday. This Galaxy S2 is really the class of phones that the iPhone 5 will be competing with. We'll talk about that in just a little bit.
It's
pretty impressive.
It's awesome.
4.5-inch screen.
I really like it.
But it doesn't feel big, does it?
It doesn't. It just
just right.
It's the camera is actually
8 megapixel, but I imagine this is what we're going to see in the iPhone 5.
Yeah.
But let's get to that in a second. But I have one more person to introduce. Of course, that's Don McAllister. In fact, we even have he has his own jingle. Hello, Don.
Hello, Leo.
Good to see you. Welcome back. He's such a regular on MacBreak Weekly that, was it Dan Luters made those jingles for us? Who made the jingles for us?
That was Jeff. It was Jeff Smith, I think.
Jeff Smith did it.
I think
Don McAllister.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, I'm excited to be here today. We've had an announcement about an announcement, so we can still do some rampant speculation.
It will be next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, right?
Mm-hmm.
October 4th. And the invitations that have gone out, let's see a show of hands, those of us on the panel, since we are the royalty of Macintosh journalists. Let's see a show of hands, those of you who received that invitation this morning. You didn't even get one?
I continue my unbroken streak of not once ever having been invited to the Apple campus.
Can I just point out that this is the most listened to Macintosh podcast by like a million. This is, I mean, we, between us, you write for the Chicago freaking Sun-Times. Don McAllister Screencasts Online. You do nothing but talk about great Mac software. This is the royalty. And we've been stiffed again. Speaking of stiff,
I think it has something to do with a Skype and a laptop.
You think you guys are tarred by my brush?
No.
I hope not. I hope that's
My
not.
excuse is I'm so far away. It's not.
You're in the
worth
UK. Yeah, they would invite you to a UK event. So,
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I was a little bit, oh, geez, I didn't get invited. But then I realized that, well, yeah, when you found out that it was going to be in Cupertino, not even San Francisco. Last night I was on travel sites figuring out that the move to Cupertino added another $250 to the cost of the trip, which meant that there's no way I could afford it to go. It was not I couldn't spend $850 for this announcement. So,
well, the good news is you don't really need to go to the announcement. In fact, because it's at One Infinite Loop, which is a fairly small venue.
Yeah.
I think it's only maybe 200, 150 people.
It's about 250.
We were the last Apple announcement. That was the iPod Hi-Fi announcement. You and I were there.
we brought a whole network down on that one. That was in the early days. I got this call from Libsyn. We were like, we had to turn you off last night.
Yeah, but of course Apple doesn't need the coverage from us, so that's all right. I understand. I just wish. Here's the thing. I don't mind that they don't invite us. I wish they'd stream the damn thing, so that we could sit in the comfort of our own studio and cover it. We will be here covering it live.
Evidently, streaming live is very difficult and very complicated. And Apple just doesn't have that kind of technology available to them.
I don't think anybody does. I don't think it's possible, frankly, to take something going on in a studio or in an auditorium and live purvey it out over the internet so that people could watch it.
Someday,
I don't think you could do that.
Leo.
Someday. Will people ever be able to watch a live event streaming? They will.
I have faith. I have faith.
Actually, what's weird is they did it after I bootlegged it a little bit. It was the iPad 1 announcement, but after that announcement, they did stream one live, and then they stopped again. You would think they would want to control the message. I mean, they're going to have live bloggers there, CNN, and all those cameras are there. And what they do is they record one tape, or like half an hour, then they pop it, they carry it over, and then they put it out on the air. So it's almost live.
I think that the reason that they don't do it, and I don't know,
in case a big screw up,
is that no, it's not a big screw up. I think that the issue is that if they live stream it, it takes some of the powder away from the news agencies. So the news agencies all have to race to get it up on as fast as they can.
So they're protecting CNN.
Well, they're creating competition. It puts them all on an even playing field, so that they all have to try to get the news up. They all have the chance of getting the news up. And when if they were streaming it live every single time, I'm not sure if you would see the same blogging that goes on. You wouldn't see, a lot of the news that they get coverage for. In addition to that, I can say that with the kind of demand that Apple has for their launches, they would if they had capacity for 1 million viewers, they'd get 1 million viewers. And I think that does turn into real money eventually.
Yeah. It probably costs them a significant amount of money to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, what we'll do is we'll be here. I don't know, Andy, would you join us?
I'm going to be home on Tuesday, so yes, absolutely.
All right. Don, would you like to join us?
There's a possibility. There's a London Mac user group meeting down in London. They're having a special event down there, so I'm seeing if I can get down.
Go to that, and then we can call you there. It'd be fun to see what the London contingent thinks.
Yeah, possibly.
That'd be fun.
See if I can
Alex, will you be here next Tuesday?
Of course.
Will you all be here next Tuesday? All right. Well, we'll just have our own live broadcast.
We're like the nerds who like we're gonna play D&D on prom night because we didn't want to go to the prom anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't want to go. So the invite is interesting because it's very clear. Usually they're a little cagier aren't they in the invites? This one's pretty obvious. It says, "Let's talk iPhone." Has 4 icons. I think this is kind of clever. Tuesday the 4th, 10 a.m. That's Pacific time. They have a pin in the map at One Infinite Loop. See, that's One Infinite
Loop. The loop. I see the loop.
And I love this. The phone icon there's one message waiting, one call. I love that.
And you missed it. You blew it.
I blew it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that means, Leo, you're not invited. So
I thought
the strapline "Let's Talk iPhone."
Yeah, that's kind of curious.
Yeah,
why is that curious?
Well, they could be saying, "Okay, let's talk about why we're not releasing an iPhone this year." Or
it's not "Let's talk iPod," is it?
Turns out that now we can't do black phones either. So turns out that Samsung has an uncle who's very, very high up at the Fair Trade Commission, and now we're not allowed to sell the iPhone until all litigation is closed.
This does look a lot like an iPhone, doesn't it?
There's a lot
I have to say.
There's a lot of movement on the IRC about talking about nuances support. So the talk.
So if we're going to read the tea leaves, let's talk iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
there's always a hidden message, isn't it? And I think
now, who here, show of hands, cannot talk about iOS 5 because they have signed the NDA? Okay, so you can go away. We'll just turn here. We'll turn him around.
That's okay. I got comics. I'll read comics here for another half hour.
Don't listen, Andy.
I've read lots on the blog, so it's okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to speak about anything that's already published.
Anything that's public knowledge is probably okay.
I just blanked out, Andy. There we go. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
So, Andy, look, Andy's reading Comixology. What's the hot comic out there? You reading those new DC reboots?
Yeah, they're all pretty awesome. There's probably my favorite so far has got to be Action Comics #1.
I know. I can't wait to get that.
They changed around Superman, but not enough to make him interesting. Not enough that make you not recognize him as Superman.
What you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, is a sample of Andy's new show on the 5x5 network, the Ihnatko Files, which debuted this week. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm told it's a top 10 podcast in the UK. So
is it really?
apparently I have more. Yep, exactly. I have more of an EU sensibility. Hopefully I like Woody Allen, but that's okay.
Not EU. EU.
Well, there's that too.
Anyway, congratulations. That's great. I'm really pleased. And
thanks.
There was people who were saying, well, why isn't Twit doing it? Andy approached us, and we already do kind of similar stuff with Tom Merritt. And frankly, I think this is, you and Dan Benjamin, it's a match made in heaven. And I was thrilled that you were going to do that. And
I got the same emails. And again, it's a good opportunity to say that I don't have any sort of an exclusive arrangement with Twit. But I definitely wouldn't have gone forward with it unless I talked to you guys first.
You offered it to us first. Absolutely.
I think the world of all you guys, and
we love you too.
Believe me.
And in fact, a lot of people are kicking me right now for not doing it.
That's okay, because we have a handshake agreement with Dan, and so that once it comes time for contract renewal, if you could just pretend to have some money in the kitty.
The real deal is that I think we've learned through a bitter and hard experience that our audience really wants us to be very techie. And I think that's a niche that we want to serve, and there's plenty of room for other stuff, and plenty of this is the beauty of podcasting,
right? And this is the perfect for me, because the Ihnatko Almanac is where I get to talk about non-techie stuff,
right?
Where it's like, so sometimes it's like, oh, I have nothing new to say about the iPhone 5, but I have to talk about the iPhone 5 now. But here's a place where I can talk about bread machines, comic books, and the indefatigability of Sheriff Lobo. All this and much more on the 5x5.
So we're just going to stick with tech. By the way, Snoop Dogg will be joining us a little later on Twitter. No, I'm just kidding. Apparently, Snoop Dogg, iJustine, he's on What's Trending, or was just on What's Trending. Snoop Dogg is everywhere today. This is Snoop Dogg Day on the internet, and we missed that one, Manizzle. So I don't know what to say. Hey, so back to the iPhone.
Back to that. Oh, yeah.
This interlude brought to you by the 5x5 network. Assistant, according to what I've read, and I am not NDA'd on iOS 5. I intentionally didn't sign the developer agreement. Assistant is going to be, we've had that capability in Android phones for some time, where you press and hold the search button, and then you can say, send text to Andy, you son of a, and it would go on like that. And then you can also, I love this feature. If you have Spotify or RDO or a number of other music clients on here, you can say, listen to Bob Dylan Forever Young, and it will play it. That's really amazing. But these are the kinds of things Assistant's now going to bring to the iPhone 5. And the world will say, for the first time ever, you could tell your phone what to do. And
given that if they're partnering with Nuance, which it does look like, I mean, this is really
Nuance does the best
recognition, and so and a lot of those commands are pretty easy, even in a poor environment, to understand, because if you're only grabbing out of them, if you only have to identify one of 600 words, it can do it with a lot of different accents,
much more
and
accurately,
so on and so forth.
Much more accurately.
It gets complicated when you start talking about you start,
Well, I'll be absolutely comparing it to Android, because it is true that about half the time I say send text to Alex, message this, and it will perhaps not put it in the right fields. It'll say it'll send you a message that says send text to Alex, things like that. So it only works about half the time. When it works, it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be very interested in how Nuance is the best, though, right? I mean, this is going to be the best recognition.
On Android, that's been one of my top features that I wish I would see on the iPhone, because even when I'm driving, if I'm at a stoplight, I have absolutely no hesitation about reaching over, tapping the search button, and saying navigate to Mexican food. And 3 seconds later, it gives me which one of these 3 Mexican restaurants do you want? You read up the one you want, and it says confirms, and you're done. So it just works perfectly.
The articles I've read did say that navigate to will be in the assistant, but what turn-by-turn directions will it use? Because the iPhone doesn't currently come with that. Is Apple going to do its own GPS app built into the iPhone?
They definitely could. I mean, everyone is actually contracting with. I believe it's Navitech.
There's only 2 companies. There's Navtech and. The one was purchased by Nokia, and the other was purchased by Ericsson, I think.
So it's a shared library that that's being.
Well, and then there's Google,
right?
And they could use the Google. So the Telenav, that's the other one. Navtech was bought by Nokia. Telenav is the other one. Although Andy and I both like this Motion GPX drive.
Motion X. Yep.
That is the best GPS out there. I would love to see Apple license that or include that or somehow do that.
Absolutely. I think it's the only iPhone nav app I've seen that actually behaves like an iPhone app and doesn't behave like a $79 drugstore GPS interface. It really is absolutely an iOS product. So it has its own foibles, but I think that I would never choose any other outside of that one.
I have to admit, after testing a lot, I haven't tested that one. So I tested a bunch of different ones, and the ones that I found, the only one that I did, there was a certain place in LA that I was trying to get to that I have had to go a couple times, and the only one that got me there was TomTom.
TomTom.
It was the only one that was accurate enough to actually get me there. The rest of them I had to get close and then figure it out. It's very remote. It was a very odd place in LA to get to.
Let's remember that when that snafu over privacy about Apple storing all of that Wi-Fi and location information and then keeping it on the phone forever, they did say that part of the reason they were doing that was for a traffic app, right? So they're
crowdsourced,
crowdsourced traffic. So there is some reason to think that Apple might be, in fact, internally developing. I mean, the traffic's typically something you'd put in a nav app, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing that interests me though is back to the speech technology is whether or not it's only going to be limited to the new phone, whether or not they need the extra processing power and extra memory that might be in a new phone to actually do the real high end speech recognition, or whether or not they're going to actually release it for older phones as well.
I'm not sure how they know, but according to 9 to 5 Mac, it will only be in the new phone because it requires, and this is the other big scooplet the 9 to 5 Mac had, it requires the dual core A5 processor, and there will be a gigabyte of RAM in the new phone, and it will require that. That's the kind of thing you would put in for good speech recognition. I remember for years that one of the drags on speech recognition was not having enough memory to store the vocabulary. It makes a big difference to be able to access that vocabulary quickly.
And the Nuance library is, I think, it's like a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes.
Nuance wants that.
When you install the whole library, it's pretty hefty.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Google speech recognition require a connection to the internet?
It does.
Yeah, so they're actually setting it up for processing and then sending the results back down.
Yeah. Now, the Nuance dictation app for the what's called Dictate on the iPhone did also. It was sending it out to servers. Right. But now, with the dual-core processor, gigabyte of RAM, it may be possible that you could do it all
And
locally.
I think that's important. I think that was one of my sensitivities is that while it's really fast, it was like, I don't really feel like sending everything I want to the cloud to have it dictated. I mean, I kind of want to keep it on my phone, and I think there was some security issues. I think a lot of us are still slowly moving into the cloud reality that nothing will be private.
Also, you were limited to the length of speech that you could have. So if you weren't actually dictating, you had to limit it to like 30 seconds or something. Whereas if it was all done local.
And that is a big problem with the Google dictation. If you say something too long, it goes, what are you, crazy? What are you?
Well, and the thing is that there are definite markets for a lot of this stuff. When I think of my father has a hard time typing anything. You get these short kind of cryptic emails from him because he doesn't really type. But he dictates all day. He's a lawyer, and he's been doing it for 30 years, and he does it perfectly. With the periods and the commas and the capital and the because he has someone that types that stuff up.
He's
for
used
legal.
to it. Yeah.
And so the thing is that I just really can see someone like that, getting a hold of one of these phones and being able to, write entire screenplays on their phone. Just kind of pushing through all that stuff. Yeah. So
It was a dark and stormy night.
comma.
Suddenly, a shot rang out.
What,
Period.
but what if your villain is Antoine semicolon? You either change his name or you're screwed.
Hey, that's why God invented global search and replace.
And I don't want to be an old fogey about this, but every time I think of the 1 gigabyte thing, I just remember that I had to write a 3-page paper when I worked at Industrial Light and Magic on Star Wars. I had to write a 3-page paper on why I needed to go from 128 megs of RAM to 100 and add 64 megabytes of RAM to my system because it would speed up my renders by a certain period. And now my phone is coming with
A phone with a gigabyte of RAM is kind of stunning if that
when you
rumor
really
is true.
kind of put that in perspective.
Dual core, I don't know if it's a gigahertz or 1.2 gigs. I think this is a dual 1.2, this Samsung, so I imagine 1.2. Mm-hmm. That much RAM. I mean, you're talking a powerful computer in people's pockets.
The thing is, though, it's not just the speech technology, the speech recognition, it's also the fact that it's Apple. So they're going to take that speech recognition technology, which is highly advanced, and then they're going to wrap the user experience around it and make it even more powerful. So in effect, it's a bit of a double whammy, really. You've got this really neat technology that is very accurate and can understand what you're saying, but then to wrap the Apple user interface around it and the sort of the way they know how to make the user experience better, that just takes it to the next level, I think.
And if they're able to add the LTE, I think that's the kind of one of the big questions.
Well, they're not gonna, are they?
Well,
Andy, your opinion?
No chance. While I was in Chicago a few days ago, that was a rare opportunity for me to very furiously test out AT&T's LTE because they're only rolling it out in like 2 or 3 different cities. Compare and contrast to Verizon's 4G coverage. I was able to actually be on the internet on 4G while I was on Amtrak from Boston to New York this morning. So with that huge a disparity between 4G coverage and between the two major providers, I don't think they're going to want to say, everybody buy your phones at Verizon, AT&T. Fortunately, you still have those $19.99 flip phones that you can hopefully make a profit of because no one's going to be buying your iPhones there.
Right.
So I don't know whether they'll do it or not. I know that I talked to someone at a phone company or a cell phone company who said, and this was quite a few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, that just said that the next version was screaming fast. I mean, it was using their network. So
remember, AT&T did just announce LTE rollout.
Right.
It's in one market right now, but AT&T's moving. They're moving, or 2 market, whatever. But they're moving as quickly as they can with that.
I have to admit that it's one of the things I'm really interested in because I'm going to get the Galaxy this week now that it's shipping. Now that I've seen it,
it's pretty awesome.
I already saw it with Eileen's, but I was waiting for it to show up.
Who's are you going to get?
I think I might get Sprint.
This has some advantages.
Verizon,
a slightly bigger battery on the Sprint one. I'm going to sell you the Sprint one. It has an alert light.
Yeah.
Oh, she's showing it. So
I like the unlimited.
I don't
know what that actually means because unlimited is not usually unlimited.
No, I just put my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Google account in there. So now this is one of the things that here's the voice. This is interesting. They have a little voice command widget. This is the first time I've ever used it, so we'll see what happens.
The only thing you're missing on the Sprint is NFC. AT&T and T-Mobile will have that.
We'll talk about NFC in a bit. What the CTO at Square says.
They can't even get the QR codes to work.
Yeah, nobody's even using QR codes. Email Alex. Subject. Yo ho ho. Message. Wait a minute. This is powered by Vingo. Which Alex? This Alex. Yeah, let's use Gmail. So you see, it's actually doing a pretty yo ho ho. It's doing a pretty good job of creating that message. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. The other thing that I'm sure Andy was on your list is the drop down notifications that you have on the Android phone. Having that on the new iPhone will really solve a lot of complaints people have had about the iPhone.
Yeah, definitely fix the notification system because those cards just stack up and then you're kind of screwed. I also don't like the fact that if you live in a state which you're not allowed to do any sort of text messaging, anytime a text message comes in with my iPhone in my car mount, it makes a sound, the text message pops up. I know that if I glance at that screen, I've just committed a $75 felony.
Yeah. 75. It's more that than that. What is the Lisa's gotten a ticket for this. What? Never mind. She just told me she did. You know, communication between us is fantastic. It's just one finger, and she told me immediately all I needed to know. Do you remember what you didn't get the fine? I understand. No, they let you off the hook, but it was a special day we had in California. It was use your phone and get screwed, but it was over $100, right? It was like $150. 150, yeah. It was very expensive, so don't use your phone, folks. No. Do not text and drive. Now, here's something that's scaring the hell out of me. Wedge Partners, an analyst named Brian Blair, says one phone only. They will not introduce a second lower-cost prepaid iPhone, that 4S we've been talking about. That's fine. I don't care about that. But he says the next generation iPhone will only be an incremental upgrade of the iPhone 4, not a major design. It will feature an A5 processor, higher resolution 8-megapixel camera, possibly a larger screen, but otherwise the design will be very similar to the iPhone 4. Do we credit that? That's something different from what we've been hearing all this time.
There are some rumors that it's that they're having some trouble with the
cheaper
the 5. The 5.
So this would really be the 4S,
but we'll see.
And I can believe that they would need the gigabit of memory for these new features. So that might, be honest, if all they did was put an 8-megapixel camera of the same quality and a gigabyte of memory and add iOS 5,
and have the voice recognition stuff.
Particularly if the voice recognition stuff doesn't work on the 4.
Right.
Yeah. There's also the possibility that they'll...
Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that as an incremental update, that's fine. Just give me that. That's great. I'm not really that concerned about the actual design of the phone because the iPhone 4 design is great. But, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a slightly better camera, looking for more memory, a faster phone, iOS 5. And, if the speech thing comes along as well, that's fantastic.
It has been a year and a half, though.
Here's the thing is crazy is that I used to have a phone that was like 4 years old. It was all beat up. It was like this Nokia phone, and it was like 4 years old, and some of the keys didn't really work. You had to kind of hit them twice, and I kept on using that phone, and now it's like, well, I've had this phone for. I've stopped taking care of this one because I'm like, well, it's getting old. I don't have to think about it. It's going to be a new one next week, and it's crazy. What a scam. This is a perfect phone, and it will be perfect until October 4th, and then it'll be like crap.
Well, that's how Apple does it. That's the brilliance.
How do they do that, and how can I do that?
Apparently, according to Electronista magazine, Apple is working on curved glass phones, but it won't be just like the new spaceship Apple headquarters. But it won't be till 2012. Company has supposedly given part suppliers help by buying glass polishing hardware. This is according to Digitimes. 3 companies have been identified as supplying cover glass, Fuji crystalline lens, focusing on iPhones, and G-Tech handling iPads. Curved glass.
I don't know if I really want curved glass.
Well, the idea is you would just hook it on your head, and it would curve around, and you could just walk around like that. Don't you think it's just a matter of time before we have Borg phones that attach somehow a phone hat?
I really think it's just going to be a transmitter that you just pop into the side of your head, but body powered. Just body heat powered. And
clearly, this assistant, if they can make this thing good enough so that you could say, dial Fred, send a message to Joe. Apparently, one of the things Assistant does, which sounds really cool, is it says, I think you want to send a message to Alex saying this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Then you can interact with it. If they get this down, that is sci-fi. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. That's what I was going to point out about the difference between, I think, the Google's philosophy and Apple's philosophy. Apple would not ship a product if at any point you had to then take your finger and actually tap something to confirm anything.
Right.
So that's why that's the major difference.
Huge difference. Oh, this is exciting. We'll find out a week from today. This is our last chance to speculate wildly.
I remember my wife just a couple weeks ago said, "So do you think we should really have the kids use a real computer because they spend a lot of time on the iPad?" And I'm like, "That is a real computer. Like they're never going to know what it's like to have keyboards.
Kidding.
Like we're going to tell them. So we used to have to type on these things, and it would like input the text and
you know who said we'd all be using tablets by 2012? Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. He knew.
He just couldn't.
He knew.
Do anything about it.
His mistake was thinking they would be running Windows. Oops.
Yeah. I keep looking through the archives to try to find a magazine ad that they were releasing in Microsoft when they released Microsoft Reader, their first attempt at an e-publishing format. Had a timeline that they published in 1994, predicting that I think it was by 2005, maybe 2008. I remember one line specifically. Paper books are only published for gift purposes, and now every book that is actually meant to be read is published electronically. Then by 2005 or 2009, the last newspaper terminates print operations. So
2005. Damn.
We are living in a future in which the Chicago Sun-Times, the other newspapers, we just did so good on the previous laps that we got like bonus time ads.
Extra. Well, by 2001, we were supposed to be living on the moon. Come on.
We're still supposed to be living on the moon. I don't know why we're not.
Something about moon dust being tiny and really sharp.
My original plan was to have this studio on the moon, and then they told me I couldn't. Actually, they told me I could, but it would cost several orders of magnitude more money.
But we could have floated.
And there's that oxygen problem. I don't know what that means. What else about this phone? T-Mobile says at least the chief marketing officer of T-Mobile, Cole Broadman, said to T-Mobile staff, "We're not getting the iPhone this year." So T-Mobile's going all in on Android. They're gonna really push Android. In fact, their new Galaxy S2 uses their new HSPA Plus faster network. So, but we agree Sprint probably is getting it. It seems to be that's the consensus. Yes.
Yes.
So Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon. That's a pretty good lineup. Of course, this guy also said he still believed that AT&T and T-Mobile would be merging. So maybe he's not the right guy to ask. I don't know. Apparently, the San Francisco Police Department wants the surveillance video from the tequila bar, Cava 22, where that purported iPhone 5 was lost. So maybe the police still are doing this investigation. Or maybe they're still doing the bidding of Apple's investigators. I'm not sure. Or maybe they just saw a hot chick and they want to find out who she was.
I don't know. Maybe this is just brilliant viral marketing for Cava 22. A bar that nobody had heard of until this happened.
Boy, somebody has asked us. Yeah, exactly. Somebody asked us for surveillance. They called. We thought they were the police.
I think an iPhone 6 was lost here in the Comixology offices. Comixology, makers of fine digital comics for you and yours.
You know, can you just give up? Because in a week we're all going to know it doesn't matter anymore. And you look at, by the way, and this is going to be kind of interesting conversation, but you look at how much Amazon has let leak out about its Kindle. We know the name, we know the price, we know what it looks like, we know what's going to be on it. The announcement probably tomorrow, which we will be covering live at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. And Andy, I hope you're going to be at the event, so I hope you'll join us after the event. But it doesn't sound like there are going to be any surprises. We know everything that's going to happen. Does that hurt Amazon? Should Amazon have done what Apple did and does and keep a tight lid on all of that stuff?
Yeah, because I think you want to make sure that people understand your motivations and your goals before people make their own decisions. Because if people got whiff of this device and said, "Oh, look, it's just the BlackBerry Playbook and it has a Kindle app, big deal. We all hated the BlackBerry Playbook." If they did it Apple style, the first thing that people would hear about this would be that we wanted to produce a really, really superior version of the Kindle ebook reader. We want to make a great ebook device that does nothing but run ebooks. Of course, there's also a web browser, but it's not intended to be a tablet device or a competitor for any other tablet platform. It's just the most awesome ebook reader connected to the largest ebook library ever. And if that's like the launching point for all the discussion, that's a big win. If it's seen as a failed iPad competitor, which is not true and not fair, then that at least throws away a certain advantage they might have had by keeping the secrecy level a little bit higher.
Well, and I think they have taken some of the excitement out by the fact that we now know it's just a playbook. Kind of takes a lot of the excitement out of it.
Well, but I think that also it depends on your approach to your presentation. Are you going to try to make sure that you answer all the questions that come up when people know about what's going on? So there's a lot of people talking about what's good, what's bad, the fact that it looks like a playbook, or the fact that it's less expensive, all those other things. So now they know that when they do the presentation, they can respond to those things. Whereas Apple tends to be more of a, we're not really interested in responding to anything. This is the way
this is the story.
This is the way reality looks from our eyes. And they're not that concerned about getting that early feedback as other companies might be. It's a little less practical, but it's worked.
And the other thing, I think the reason a lot of this leaked out is because Amazon gave copies of this Kindle Fire to developers months ago. So and by the way, magazine companies, according to Bloomberg or the Journal, virtually every magazine company has agreed to do a version of the magazine for this new Kindle Fire. So they kind of had to, by giving it out. Apple doesn't do that, or when they do that, we heard the story of how they lock it in a room and they put a wooden frame around and they take pictures of the wood grain, and
and there's a collar that goes on. It's got a small explosive on it, and you will wear this collar until we announce the product.
You almost feel like Apple's gone to almost a psychotic extreme.
The thing is, as well, with the iPad, it's much more of a generalist device, and but with the Kindle Fire, it's a much more focused product. It's a much more niche product. It looks as though it just will be a really great ebook reader with some applications, but certainly not the scope that the iPad has. So in some respects, they don't have to manage it that closely, because we all pretty much, even if we hadn't seen it, we'll know it's going to be a color Kindle, and it'll do certain things very, very well. But as Andy said, I don't think it's intended to be an iPad competitor. It's meant to be, a competitor for other ebook readers.
That I'm not sure about. I think it's a media device, and I think that what is interesting is that Amazon is actually leveraging media companies' fear of Apple, and gone to them and said, "Hey, you need some competitor for Apple, and we're gonna. You should allow." And of course, Amazon's a big retailer. I mean, really, what it really is a portal to Amazon, and everything Amazon does: books, magazines, diapers, but also TV shows, movies, and music.
Yeah, I think that it's clear that the product that Amazon is targeting is actually the Barnes & Noble Nook, which is also a $250 Android-based 7-inch color reader, which has been having a lot of success.
Right.
Just coincidentally, this morning when I picked up my Amtrak tickets, there was a Nook ad in the ticket folder. Last weekend when I was flying home from Chicago, there were two ladies behind me on the plane, sharing their Nook stuff, and say, "Oh boy, I really love my Nook, and isn't it great?" Blah, 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 as though they're filming a commercial back there. And I think that they appreciate that their biggest advantage right now is the fact that they own the name Kindle. Even when people have a Nook, they think of it kind of as a version of a Kindle.
Right.
So if they can not only create something that leverages that brand, tax into the most recognizable and respected ebook repository that's has a commercial titles, but also can undercut the Nook's price by a significant amount, there is no way that they lose in that scenario. And they also set themselves up for a better and bigger and more ambitious tablet in 2012 if that's really their goal.
One of the things that I find fascinating is to watch, when you watch the difference between Netflix and Amazon and Apple and Google, of how the media industry is trying desperately to keep them all even and not let anyone get ahead the way Apple got. And so they're now taking some stuff. They're taking some away from Netflix and giving it to Amazon. They're taking this away, and they're trying to play the shell game. The problem is that what's happening is all of them are kind of building up, and there's going to be a point where all these companies are bigger than they are. These distributors, whether it's Amazon, or if you look at their market caps now, each one of them is getting larger than the media companies that are trying to control them. And it's just like these cats. They thought they were going to be kitty cats, and they turned out to be tigers.
A holding action. I think the media companies can't be so stupid that they don't realize that the end is not, that this is all changing. And I think it's just that it's like somebody told me once, it's just, I think it was Cory Doctorow said, they know what's going to happen. They just don't want it on their shift. They don't want it on their watch.
Well, I mean,
just putting it off as long as they can.
Well, you look at the impatience when Netflix starts spending real money on TV shows, when YouTube is talking about hundreds of millions of dollars for their own content. When all of these, what's happening, I'm surprised that Apple hasn't really dug into that yet. But it's, that's the kind of thing that when these companies all start digging into it, that's when things will accelerate to the ground much faster.
I love Zilla girl in our chat room who said, "It's just a magical Sears robot catalog." And I guess that's true. I mean, if you're Amazon, that's a good way to think about it. It's just a portal to our stuff. We're going to take a break, come back with more. There's a big story about, in fact, a fascinating story about the Facebook iPad app. Some rumors it might be announced, finally, October 4th, on Tuesday, a week from today. But before we do that, let me talk a little bit about our good friends at GoToMeeting. The folks at Citrix make the best web conferencing software out there. It is the ultimate online meeting tool. Works with anyone, anywhere. You can share screens on a Mac or on a PC or from one platform to the other. And now they have HD faces. And I have to say, this is exactly what they needed. They're competing against products that cost so much money, tens of thousands of dollars. This is $49 a month. You get not only the built-in VoIP conference calling, you get the screen sharing, very high speed, very effective. You get high-def video of your participants. And it's so easy for your attendees to use. It's so visual. I mean, there's nothing like that nod or that frown, the folded arms of the sales prospect or the happy smile of somebody you're talking to who's excited about what you're selling them. I mean, all of this communicates. And of course, seeing you is so important too. I just really love what they've done. When they first showed me the HD faces on GoToMeeting, I was blown away. The quality is so good. It is easily the best video quality I've ever seen. And now you could try it free for 30 days. Just visit the website, GoToMeeting.com. Promo code on this is MacBreak. So when they ask you for an offer code, type MacBreak. And you will get to try it for free for 30 days. And it also works on the iPad, which is super cool to have these meetings on the iPad as well as on your desktop. GoToMeeting.com.
We use this, I use it probably 3 or 4 times a week. Because we have so many different clients, we use pretty much all of these online aggregation ones.
Because they have their preference.
Our own is GoToMeeting, but the other ones are something else. And you just get to these other ones and you're like, really?
I know.
Really? How hard, it's like, all you have so it's definitely the way to go. If you're looking for doing these meetings, GoToMeeting is, and we use GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar.
Love it.
It's great.
And GoToTraining, you see there too.
I haven't used that one yet.
I've used it. GoToMeeting.com. Offer code MacBreak for 30 days free on this. And I think you will really like it. We do thank them for their support of MacBreak Weekly. So have you been reading these stories about this Facebook app for the iPad? And everybody's wondering, what's the story? Why isn't there a Facebook app on the iPad? Mark Zuckerberg, when asked that a few months ago at a meeting, said, well, we don't think the iPad is a portable device. What? They think of it as a computer. And it's true, it has a good enough browser that you can't get the full Facebook experience in Safari. But the real truth is coming out because the guy who wrote the Facebook app quit. He says it was ready in May, and Facebook's been holding on to it. And he finally quit and went to Google. He said, I can't handle this anymore. So we're finding out a little bit more about this. There is a rumor that it will be announced on Tuesday when the new iPhones are announced. I'm not sure if that rumor makes sense completely. But apparently a lot of behind-the-scenes negotiating going on between Facebook and Apple. You remember when we saw our first bits of iOS 5, the Twitter integration was pretty obvious. They didn't even mention Facebook, but Twitter was all integrated throughout iOS 5. What do you think, Don? You think Facebook is going to have parity with Twitter on iOS 5? Do you think we'll be able to use Facebook the same way we're going to use Twitter in the new iOS?
I'm not sure. I mean, I really don't know why there's been this trouble with the iPad app, because I can't really see why they would hold it back. It just seems
it's a negotiating chip, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. But as far as integration with the OS, I mean, I'm sure Facebook would love that, but whether or not they've sort of missed the boat, I'm not too sure, because, the Twitter stuff is pretty well baked now, so we'd have to see if they could actually manage that. But
You're right. It would be probably too late to get it in there. You're right. That's a good point.
Probably.
Yeah. What I had heard, I don't know if it's true, the rumor was that just before Ping was announced, like the day before Ping was announced, Ping was good, and as we know, it had Facebook integration when it was announced, didn't have it when it was shipped. The story went that Mark Zuckerberg went to Steve Jobs and said, "Okay, great, we'll merge together, except you have to give us all the personal information of all the people who use it." And Jobs said, "No way." Remember, Jobs said it was an onerous demand that they made.
Right.
And I have a feeling that this negotiation is going on probably as we're speaking for next Tuesday about what will be announced, what kind of integration will there be in app. And I think Apple, rightly so, is trying to keep Facebook from getting its fingers in Apple's customer database.
Yeah, Apple doesn't ever do that. So if they do it and that's actually happening, and I have to admit that I would much prefer Apple to have my personal information than Facebook, even though Facebook's already got most of it.
Apple,
It's just like giving them more access to that does not necessarily make me excited.
No, I agree. I mean, after all, Apple doesn't sell our information. That's not how they make their money. It's not by selling our information. Apple makes its money by selling great products. Facebook makes its money by selling our information. So if you have the choice between the two, and you want privacy, I think Apple's a better bid.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if privacy is something I should continue to worry about. I kind of feel like it's a battle that we're quickly losing.
Well, you know, our friend Jeff Jarvis just released his book, Public Parts. He's been advocating this value of publicness. And he'll be on Twig tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about public parts. I just got the book. It's really great. He does make that case that he says Mark Zuckerberg believes this. And he believes it too, that the more public you are, the happier you will be. And Facebook will be happier too, by the way.
Funny thing, my wife intensely avoided Facebook and everything else for, until like 3 weeks ago. And then she turned it on and she had 220 friends in like 3 days. And
now, does she like it?
Oh, she loves it. Okay. Now it's like this. She's like, oh, Facebook.
She gets it.
And she's so funny because I'm on the edge of like, I'm kind of scared of Facebook. And she's like, oh, this is great. And she's putting up all the, this stuff. And anyway.
I think Apple's smart because the truth is a cell phone really knows a lot about you. It knows where you are, it knows what you're doing. As we do more and more stuff with our cell phone, this is a marvelous data collection device.
And I think one of the things is that you have to get to a point. I share a lot on Twitter and Facebook, probably more than I should, and but part of it is just it's a muscle of me telling myself, I'm not really hiding any of this anyway. I think that I'm hiding it, thinking that the government can't get a hold of exactly where I am at every moment.
If you're using the Facebook, you're telling them everything.
Well, so. but if you're walking around with your phone, anytime the FBI or CIA wants to know where you are, they can subpoena it.
That's
so
right.
It's not, so that so the
they don't need a subpoena. They need a pen register. They basically ask.
So the thing is that it's just I think sometimes it's a muscle of just realizing that you're not in a private environment almost ever.
The question is how much do you know about what they're doing, what they're not doing? What annoys me is that I work at home, which means that I'm home at like 2:30 in the afternoon, which means that there is a branch of marketing that believes that if I'm home watching basic cable at 2:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, I am a total loser. Right. I will, of course, go sign up for an 8th mortgage on my house. I will, I will go for a slip and fall injury, and I want to basically spend $80,000 training to be a dental hygienist. Now, what happens? And so I don't get, the sort of. That's the marketer's attitude. My concern is that just by going around and doing my life, I'll be profiled to such an extent that I will never get to see ads for things that are actually interesting. That it will be nothing but inundated by ads, or people are thinking, oh well, geez, he was at a comic book shop on he never shops in comic book shops after 7 p.m. on a weekday or on the weekends. He must be looking for some way to get medical disability. So we're going to target ads for him, and we're going to make sure that if he ever tries to go for a car loan, we're never going to offer him like good terms, because we're going to assume that he basically knows nothing about finance and he'll take whatever deal we give him. And that's the sort of information. That's the sort of thing that I fear about. What happens when stupid marketers with half-baked ideas about how to define people take disparate information that really tells them nothing and tries to convince themselves that's telling them exactly what they want to hear about a certain segment of the population. I have no idea what happens, but I know I want no part of it.
Actually, I think it's the exact opposite. I think that what you're talking about, the imperfect targeting that television does, because it's just based on the time of day, is exactly what you won't get. You're going to get ads that are directly, the more information they have about you, and they would love to know exactly what you really like, not just where you are, but really what are you doing there, so they can give you ads that you will enjoy because they will be targeted at what you want. I think that's exactly the offer. And the reason there's going to be so much money, there's billions and billions of dollars spent on crappy TV ads based on the very little that they know about you, because by virtue of the fact you're home at 3 in the afternoon. Yeah. All of this money is just begging to be sucked away by Facebook and these smartphones with much more targeted advertising.
But if I can make one point just to that, my car insurance is really way wicked high. No, I'm saying I've never had an accident, never had a speeding ticket, and not since day one I've been driving.
There's a gecko who would like to meet you.
Exactly. Well, that'll be the sponsor next week. But what I'm saying is that, and they have access to my full driving record, so they can say, "My God, this guy never files a claim. We should give him a policy for like $30 a year. We'll clear $30 worth of profit." But because they can sort of say, "Well, he's self-employed, and self-employed people are in a high-risk group, so therefore we're not going to offer him low-cost insurance on that basis." I think that's exactly the sort of thing that will happen as they get access to more information. They will find more reasons to make sure that the flow of money, the flow of services gets narrower and the flow of money out goes greater.
Well, I think when I look at it, depends on how much data they have. I mean, like I buy everything on Amazon. Like pretty much, basically, the first thing I have is like, I'm going to buy something, and if it's not, first I check, is it on Amazon Prime? Is it on Amazon Prime? Yep. And if it's on Amazon Prime, then the search ends. Yep. Like I don't go to the store, I don't go to anything else because I know it'll be here tomorrow for $3.99, and I buy my time. And so I buy everything there. And now when I go up to Amazon, the front page is like catnip. I mean, it's just like, I just sit there and go, and like they've gotten, because I buy everything, I buy Campbell's soup on Amazon. And so the thing is that they know everything about my buying habits, from the kind of tools I get to the whatever. And what's amazing is that now I just have to almost avoid the front page, because it's just like, I look at it and go, oh, that would be really nice. And then, that would be, and they really have it down. So as they get more of the buying information in one place, I have to admit that it's expensive for me, but it's not that they're giving me the wrong thing. They're definitely hitting.
Is a train going through your comic store?
Yes, soup on Amazon. You can buy soup on Amazon. That's all I want to say.
Why would you buy soup? It's mostly water.
What? Because it's free. In 2 days, I can have it for free. I don't buy like one can. I buy like a whole bunch of them. But then it's not.
The other day, I need a new like outdoor like garbage can, and I thought of buying it from Amazon only because the shipping would be free, and I just wanted to deliver the largest thing I've ever had delivered in my life. I had a weight set delivered to me overnight. Just to see if they could.
Crazy.
Just to see if they could. It was 300 pounds
of iron.
Of iron.
You
delivered to me.
Just got an ingot
for $3.99. And I was like, I am not the prime customer that you would.
That's
really
they don't want you.
But I've had all small refrigerators.
I just think that I think a lot of this, I see what you're saying, Andy, about you're not getting your value out of your insurance. But it's partly because they don't know enough about you. They think that your freelancer is sufficient. If they knew enough, they need more information, not less information.
See, but again, isn't it true that again they can? I believe they can look at my full driving history. And that's I think that's one of the things that you check off in the box when you ask to get insurance.
Who do you have? So who's your insurance? Let's call them out. Who are these rat?
It's Liberty Mutual. We're waiting for them to call in now.
I'm just waiting. Yeah, maybe they'll call.
Well, the thing
I'm expecting that gecko to show up any minute now.
Yeah.
You probably don't have the gecko in the Great Britain because he's got this bad English accent. I think he's Michael Caine.
Or the Progressive Girl.
Or this is the other thing that confused me about Geico. They have like 5 different campaigns. And
they all are funny.
They're all funny, but
awesome.
They're not related. There's the caveman and the gecko. It's like, well, if you don't like the gecko, maybe you'll like the caveman.
And it's true. I like both of them. But the problem, but I have USAA, so it's kind of like your.
We watch too much
TV.
Yeah, that's the answer to that one.
They must think that I'm a poor credit risk because they're not letting me see the white golfer commercial.
Aha! I think that
I'm out the links today talking to my broker, and he recommended Geico Insurance.
Advertisers in general want to only advertise. It's the old sales adage, straight from David Mamet, Glengarry Glen Ross. Only sell to people who are buying. Right. It doesn't make sense to sell to somebody who's not going to buy your product. It's wasted ad dollars. So that's the more efficient, more targeted they can be, the happier they will be. Now, I don't know. You're right. I mean, if they see that you're eating donuts, you may not be able to get health care. But that's a separate issue. That's certainly a major privacy issue. Absolutely, a major privacy issue. I think it's not only a matter of time before people like me, who are slightly short for our weight, are going to have a hard time getting health insurance. Things like that. It's going to be more and more difficult.
I don't want them to see my Woot orders. They're going to be like sucker born every minute.
They do that in Mexico on the beaches. I'm convinced. So, if you ever go to the beach in Mexico, the only thing that Mexico's wonderful, the only thing that makes the beach not so fun is they have vendors like harass you constantly. But the first guy who comes around makes a hat. It's like a hat made out of palm leaves, and 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 it's like a couple of bucks. And my wife bought it. And I said, honey, you just bought the sucker hat. Now everybody who comes by sees you in that hat and goes, we've identified the sucker. And I think that's what they do with Woot. That's what Woot's all about.
I bought a USB-powered Nerf missile launcher.
How much did you spend on Woot? Oh, we got it. We got a live one.
Yeah.
You're wearing the sucker hat.
It was awesome, though. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. We still have that sucker hat, by the way. I told my wife.
Turned out to be a pretty good hat.
It's a nice hat. It's a pith helmet made out of palm fronds.
I think that would be quite nice.
It's a sucker hat. All right, we're gonna. Anyway, do we? We'll wrap this thing up with a discussion. With the discussion up with the vote. Will we see a Facebook app for the iPad on Tuesday? Andy Ihnatko.
I don't see why not. I don't see why. Why would Apple want to promote Facebook in any way?
I agree. I think we will absolutely not in a million years will we see that. I don't even know why people were writing that. Don McAllister, you agree?
Yeah, we won't see it. The thing with Facebook, though, is this thing with Spotify has really annoyed me recently. I've never really
liked it,
but, they seem to be getting too big.
Are they doing that in Britain, too? Because in the States, you cannot have a Spotify account unless you log in with your Facebook account.
Well, this is for new accounts. If you've already got an existing Spotify account, you're okay. But now, a prerequisite is that you must sign up with a Facebook account. And my Twitter stream's been on fire with people complaining about it and seeing it's such a bad idea. And if it goes down that route, I don't think it's a good move.
It's the last piece of the puzzle was Facebook collects all this information, but always says, well, it's voluntary. You don't have to participate. You don't have to do it. You don't have to have a Facebook account. Only do it if you're comfortable with it. And then they coerce you by making you won't be able to buy groceries without a Facebook account. You don't have to do it. You could starve. It's okay. And I completely agree with you, Don. This is appalling. And I'm sure Spotify did it because Facebook's giving them money, right?
Well, it's 800 million users. Right. I mean,
no, but they're requiring it.
I know, but I'm saying that. But if you're a little,
they're giving us special access. You think to the users?
Well, you're getting promotion. I mean, you're getting promotion from Facebook. Facebook's
promotion equals money. So
the thing, yeah. So I don't think Facebook needs to give them money. I think that it's just access to 800 million users and promotion into 800 million users. If you give us an exclusive relationship, I mean, I don't.
That's a pretty big carrot.
No, it's a huge carrot, and I think that it's good. I think a lot of this is good for Google Plus. I think that, but
they're taking off too. 1,269% increase in users over the last week.
And I'm kind of amazed. I haven't posted very often. Twice. I posted on Monday.
That's not very often. I
have like 7,700 people that have put me in their circle, and I haven't actually done anything. Although I did post a movie, and it turned out great. It was actually a great experience. I was like, I should do this more often. I shot a movie a couple years ago, and I finally posted it on YouTube, and the whole experience was so good that I was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to do this more often. It's actually
get huge engagement.
It's refreshing.
You get huge engagement from Google Plus. You get even more engagement from Facebook, and I think that this is where the battleground is going to lie. And you know how Facebook coerces Spotify with 800 million users? They coerce each and every one of us because it's hugely valuable to be on Facebook if you are selling anything.
And I'm putting, we're putting the, I finally got around to setting up the page so that you can go to facebook.com/pixelcore. Like I did all those little things to make sure that, and I just feel like this is something we have to do. I mean, we have to make sure that we start posting that stuff, and we have to make sure people are following us. And it's just part of business that you have to kind of pay attention to that stuff.
I like this. This is a high school detention notice. Jacob will be detained after school on 9/22 for the following reason: taking off shirt in middle of class and yelling, "Come at me, bro," at another student.
What was that?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Google Plus just distracted me big time.
That is awesome. Why didn't I ever think of doing that?
Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do that at the end of the show. Just a word of warning to all of you. We're going to take a break and come back with more. Don McAllister is here. Screencasts Online. What a great site that is if you want to learn how to use anything, Mac software particularly, but anything. He's got it all. He's got it going on. From the Pixel Core, Mr. Alex Lindsay, of course, pixelcore.com, a great place to go to learn how to use media tools. Wonderful stuff. And you do these great trainings every Thursday now. You're doing the live shows.
By the way, we just posted on YouTube. We posted a 2-hour discussion about the new Final Cut.
Oh, I want to see this.
Yeah, it's posted. It's posted now, where we had two of the top trainers in the world who have been got a chance to look at it and give us their feedback and show some of the stuff that's new. And it's so anyway, I would highly suggest it.
And what is
you can just do Pixel Core on YouTube.
Okay, youtube.com/pixelcore.
Yeah.
All right. Or pixelcore.com.
No, Pixel Core. Just search Pixel Core on YouTube and you'll get
it's easier. All right.
Yeah.
And pixelcore.tv for your shows too. You do a lot of great shows. And pixelcore.com/live on Thursdays.
Thursday nights we're doing. We have Derek Story talking about printing this Thursday.
Great photographer.
Yeah,
what fun.
And anyway, yeah. And if you go to pixelcore.com right now, you'll see Brent By on the cover, on the front page, on the front page. Brent is doing a production class.
I'm excited. He's the guy who did all our lighting in here. Our cameras are set up and everything. This guy's amazing. I really love Brent. Oh, that's neat.
So that's we actually have I don't know why we're talking about this right now, but anyways, if you go to
this is your plug time. I used to leave the plugs to the end, and I figured, they're just going to skip them, so I put them in the middle now.
So MacBreak Brent is your code to get $150 off that training. It's 3 days with Brent By talking about hands-on production.
I highly recommend that.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm taking the class.
We have a consulting contract with him every month. He did all of this stuff.
He's great. It's really and he is. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. $150 off. It's normally $950. 3 hardcore days of production. So if you're really interested, check it out.
And Andy Ihnatko, of course, at the Chicago Sun-Times, his website, cwob.com. And you will be back tomorrow joining us for our live coverage of the Amazon announcement. I guess the announcement's at 10 a.m. if you Eastern time if you want to join us. We won't be here that early, so maybe join us after. It's at 7 our time in the morning. And so maybe we'll talk to you after the thing. Not before. I was thinking about before, but that'll be like 6:30. I'm not doing it. Are you excited?
It should be fun.
Yeah.
I hope they actually have product to actually start to play with, because even if it's just even if it's just a host organism for a color Kindle app, it will still be pretty good if it's cheap enough. So,
one of the things that's coming to Petaluma, and I miss this every year, is the Macintosh Expo. Now, I think a lot of
Petaluma, or is that north, or is that in Santa Rosa?
It's here.
Wow,
it's here. It's that's Macworld. Let me look at it. It's kind of like a mini Macworld. It's the Mac Computer Expo that the North Coast Macintosh Users Group puts on.
I thought it was in Santa Rosa.
Well, maybe it is.
Okay,
they used to do it here. Petaluma Community Center. I believe that's here. Free admission, free parking, and if you're interested, it's coming up this Saturday. And the reason I mention it is because not only will a lot of great people be there speaking, including Burt Monroy, they're going to have his Times Square on display, a hard drive recycling event, and a whole lot more. You can read all about it. But you see who's sponsoring this here? A lot of the great people who sponsor us, including Smile Software. In fact, Jean McDonald's going to be at the event. I'm having dinner with her on Friday. I'm so excited. I can't go to the event because I do a radio show right in the middle of that, unfortunately.
I'm going to have to go.
You should go. Will you go on our behalf and represent?
Yeah.
I love these little Mac events.
I got to say, and this North Coast one is really good. I've been to it in the past, and it's really it's a great event because it's just much more personal. You can it doesn't feel as big, and if you're looking for something in between Mac worlds, this is great.
Jeff Carlson, Chris Breen will be there, Brian Chafin, Adam Christensen, Ted Landau, and of course there's Gene, there's Bert. It's really a great bunch of people. Jason Snell from Macworld Magazine will be there, David Sparks, MacSparky.com, Derek Story. That's probably why Derek's going to be here for you.
He's local.
Yeah, well, that's right. He's just up the road a bit. Anyway, reason I mention that is I want to tell you all about Text Expander. If you go to Smile Software's website, smilesoftware.com/MacBreak, you could find out all you need to know about absolutely the best software on the Mac. I couldn't live without it. In fact, I think it says right here, the single best productivity tool for the Mac right after Quicksilver. Somebody named Leo said that. Don McAllister's got a screencast on this site, too, about how to use it. I use it all the time. I've got it right up here in my menu bar. See, Text Expander. What it does is, as you type, it watches what you're typing. It'll correct spelling, which is kind of handy, but it also will insert snippets, and they've got all sorts of variables and pauses and all sorts of things, which really is fantastic. Text Expander is just a must-have tool on the Macintosh. I want you to give it a try. You can create text and or graphic snippets, anything that you type more than once or paste more than once.
I do stuff like my address. You know, it's like my
signature.
Someone says, "Can you? What address should we send it to?"
Yep.
And I just go, "This." You know, I have a little shorthand, and boom, the whole thing pops up.
It's what lawyers used to call boilerplate. It's the stuff that you do all the time. Now in Text Expander 3, they've got these fill-in snippets. So it's basically a form, and it will pull variable information and like time, date, and whatever, and put it in. You can add tabs, returns, enters, or escapes in your snippet. Apple script and shell script completely supported. So you can say, oh, this is so cool. You could say in the snippet, call this script and insert the result of this Apple script or this shell script into the I mean, you could just imagine the valuable stuff you could do with this. And of course, it supports Dropbox. In fact, that's where I keep my snippets. I keep them on Dropbox, so my snippets are the same on all of my Macs. There's a free demo waiting for you. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. It's only $35. I would buy it. but if you want to try, go ahead and try it first. But I would buy it.
And you can buy it from the
also
App Store.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I was going to say there's also Text Expander Touch, which is on your iPad and your iPhone.
Great minds think alike. That's what Alex was just about to say.
Yeah, on the new versions, you can actually synchronize your snippets between all your devices, not just your Macs now. So it used to be a little bit tortuous to move them across to the iOS devices, but that's seamless now. It actually does it automatically for you. So and lots of apps. They've got a free API that developers can use for iOS apps, so they can integrate Text Expander support into those apps. And I think it's well over 100 apps now on iOS that support Text Expander snippets. So you have the same snippets on your iOS device as your Mac as well.
That is fantastic. Really boy, they've really done a great job. Just buy it. Don't get the free thing. Just buy it. You want it, right? All right, go ahead. Try it for free, you cheapskate. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. 30 days free. If you like it, buy it. Buy it. It's $35. It's like... I can't imagine why you wouldn't want this. This is the best thing you ever had on your Mac. In fact, it drives me crazy because there's nothing quite as good as this on the PC. I use something called Auto Hotkey, but it's just not as good. Buy it. Buy it. Text Expander. Buy it. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. And Gene McDonald, actually, Gene and Adam Christensen are going to be at the radio, coming on the radio show on Saturday. So, or maybe not Saturday, Sunday. I guess they're doing the expo on Saturday, so it'll be Sunday. So we'll say hi to them then. They're going to be in town for that great event. I like Jean. She's really a stalwart of the Macintosh community. They always throw great parties, and they support us. They support a lot of Mac podcasts. So, you know, support them. Moving along to another story. Let me just check our rundown here. This was a big story. In fact, they asked me, I do a radio show, a newscast every Tuesday morning for KGO here in San Francisco. And they said, oh, breathlessly, oh, because Apple's stock price tumbled yesterday like 3 or 4%. Oh, iPad supply chain orders down 25%. JP Morgan says people that Apple's soft on iPad sales. I said, whoa, what? Well, what? I looked into it, and, you know, other analysts, including Gene Munster, are saying, no. They said perhaps this has to do with the fact that Apple's moving some of its production to Brazil. But nobody has any indication that there'll be a 25% reduction in fourth quarter iPad orders. Doesn't make sense. Anybody think so?
No.
Not really.
JP Morgan Chase said Apple's cutting orders to vendors in the supply chain for its iPad, tablet, computer. A move that may result in slower sales for companies including Honhai Precision Industry. Honhai, one of the big vendors. For Honhai, the cut could mean a drop to 13 million units from 17 million units in the fourth quarter. However, they're not lowering their projection of sales of 10.9 to 12 million iPad sales in the fourth quarter. But maybe they say this reflects weakening demand in Europe due to economic conditions.
It could also mean that something new is on the horizon, and you're slowing things down to make the adjustment.
Reduce inventory because iPad 3 is on the way.
I'm just totally guessing on that one.
People, the rumor has not gone away that there will be an iPad announcement on Tuesday.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Really?
I think that would be too quick. I think I think we're still looking in the spring, but I could see that they could, what you're ordering now would be affecting spring supply, not fall supply.
That would be the only reason that Facebook would announce an app, is if there were an iPad announcement. That's why I don't think they'll do it. This is an iPhone announcement.
Although imagine Facebook on a large Apple 50-inch TV.
You think the TV? You think the TV?
I'm still waiting for that.
You think
TV.
the sit back experience? It's a dream. Dream on. Comcast, speaking of TV, is working on an iPad TV streaming service called AnyPlay, according to Mac Rumors. It will compete with Cablevision and Time Warner, which apparently have something similar. AnyPlay allows Comcast subscribers to view live television. Did I say live? Live television on their iPad. In the past, we've had video on demand with the Xfinity product, but this would be live.
Well, DirecTV was
television.
doing that too. DirecTV was doing a live supply as well.
Won't work on a Wi-Fi from other locations or via 3G. You have to be apparently. Now, see, this is why it's stupid. You have to be near your Motorola set-top box, which will then send the stream to your iPad. I think that's dorky. See, now, if they would do it over an internet connection like Time Warner does, then you could really be a cord cutter. Well, I guess you can't because you still need Comcast.
What we need is Sonic to have fiber in Petaluma.
Because SonicNet, which is a local internet service provider, actually not that
When are
local.
we going to get the fiber?
They're planning on offering local TV over there.
When are we going to get the fiber?
We're getting fiber into this building. Comcast is putting it in.
Oh, that doesn't count.
We signed a 3-year deal. We need more bandwidth. We need more monkeys. So we're getting more bandwidth by making a 3-year deal with Comcast for 100 megabit symmetric. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You can get a strand. You want a strand?
I want a strand.
I'll give you a strand.
Well, we'll talk about it.
No, I thought that we had talked to you. Maybe we talked to Chris or something. But anyway, they don't talk to him. It's like every time we talk to him, they say, no, don't talk to Alex. Talk to the money people. Don't talk to Alex. He just runs the place.
He's crazy.
It's like me.
Yeah.
If people want to do something with Twit, they say, don't talk to Leo. Talk to Lisa. She runs the place. So anyway, yeah, we're getting fiber in here because we need the bandwidth. And it will be from Comcast. But that's because we have another big pipe from Sonic, and we wanted redundancy. We didn't want to be dependent on anyone.
No, we have the other office has Comcast, and this office has Sonic because same thing.
Who cares about an iPad streaming? Now that I read this, iPad streaming app that requires you to be sitting within hailing distance of your Motorola set-top box. What the hell's the point of that? Unless it's really for an Apple TV.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm telling you, it's all about the TV.
Apple applied. Yeah, there's no TV. Dream on. Apple applied for dramatic podcast. Do that again. That was good. All right. That's enough.
Loops.
It loops. Because you can never have too much drama. Apple denied the trademark for multi-touch. Now, this is not the patent. Nobody can patent multi-touch. But Apple wanted a trademark on the term capital M-U-L-T-I dash T capital T-O-U-C-H. They applied for that trademark the day the iPhone was announced in 2007. And I've never heard of the Patent and Trademark Office denying anything to anybody, but apparently they denied it. And Apple immediately appealed. And then the appeal board said no, because it's frankly too generic. The term multi-touch has taken on a generic meaning. So, sorry. No tears of sadness?
No. You win some.
Samsung is countersuing Apple in The Hague. I just like saying The Hague.
Well, I always thought that we brought up The Hague for something. I didn't think it would be for this, but okay.
Actually, this one is hysterical. They claim the iPad and the iPhone violate 3G technology patents held by Samsung, and they want 2.4% on all iPhone chipsets. 2.4% for every chipset per patent within its 3G-capable iPhones and iPads. Apple said, wait a minute, we're already paying Intel for this. Intel provides the chipset. Samsung says Apple has other component suppliers and is obfuscating the other suppliers. Samsung also said Apple knew about these patents in 2007 when the iPhone was released and declined to license. All of this is just about, it's like they're in their trenches.
I know you are, but what am I?
And they're shooting at each other, and they're just hoping one of them, draws blood.
Well, Apple has drawn some blood.
They have.
So I think it's not. They're not trying anymore. And it's not the problem that I think Samsung has. It's not just. I mean, for all of this, it's not just. It's Oracle. It's Microsoft. It's everyone kind of piling on.
Verizon's taking sides, by the way. They provided an amicus curiae, I'm glad I studied Latin in high school. A legal brief opposing the preliminary injunction against Samsung smartphones and tablets. It would allow the brief allows Verizon to intervene as a third party in the case. Remember that Apple said they were trying to keep Samsung from selling the Galaxy Tab, the Infuse, the Galaxy S, and the Droid Charge in the U.S. The hearing is October 13th. And, of course, Verizon has some of those things. Android market share, it's interesting. The iPhone market share by carrier, this is from an article in Ars Technica, 76% of iPhones are at AT&T, 23.9% are at Verizon.
I think it is hard to switch. I mean, I have threatened to switch to Verizon. The problem is my whole family's on it.
I'm tempted.
I'd have to move, a whole bunch of phones.
Andy, if you were to buy an iPhone next week or whenever they make it available, AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint?
Definitely Verizon, because that means that later on, when I'm going to want to upgrade to a 4G phone, either be it an iPhone by some other maker, I'll want it to be on the Verizon network.
Good point. That's a very good point. I won't ask you, Don, because you have to choose between Vodafone, O2. You have lots of choice. Orange.
Yeah, actually, someone sent me a note today that 3Mobile has just announced a new plan, which is an unlimited data plan for an extra £3 a month. I think
that's nothing. Three pounds is what, $400? What is £3?
Soon, Leo. Soon.
$6 to $7. No, it's not even that much. Is
not even that much. That's fairly cheap.
Yeah, but if that's with a contract, though, so I'd have to check on the contract prices. But interesting that they, because they're starting to see how they can differentiate themselves between each other. So that's the first unlimited plan that I've seen for a while. Others are doing really cheap deals for data now anyway, which is great.
Alex, you said AT&T because your family's AT&T, but you'd like to go Verizon.
And here's the worst part is that, and this may be the only reason I don't jump immediately on the new phone is me trying to make a decision. But even my you're in trouble when your 16-year-old daughter said, well, she goes, this phone's fine, but I'm looking forward to the new one. And I was like, really? You're looking forward to the new one because you think I'm going to buy you one? And she just looks at me and she goes, yeah.
You are.
And then she just move on to another conversation. I expect to get a new one. So anyway.
Do fathers buy their daughters the latest iPhone? Yes, they do.
Yeah. I think the only people that get the secondhand ones are really the little, the 2 and the 4-year-olds.
They're too young to complain.
They're stuck with the hand-me-downs. They haven't started asking. But
complain.
There was I think I Twittered this, but my daughter kept on saying this thing. She was holding the iPad, and she's 2 years old. She's holding the iPhone and she's apoplectic. She's just she's looking at me saying something, and it took me a little while to kind of sort this all out until I realized what she was saying was, iPad needs charged.
How old is she?
2 years old. She's 2 years old, and it took me a little while to...
What did it sound like?
iPad need ya.
iPad
need charge. iPad need charge. And I said, what is it? And Malachi looked at me and he goes, iPad needs charge. He's like a translator.
He knew.
Malachi translates.
A 2-year-old is telling you the iPad needs charged.
She's not, she's no longer, anyway.
Holy, well that means...
Which is unlike her 4-year-old brother who just puts it charged.
She's not going to be fooled by stuff like this. This is VTech has announced a learning tablet for 4 to 9-year-olds. It's basically an $80 fake iPad.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Wouldn't fool her.
No.
See, that's what I thought. I look at this and I think, this will fool a 6-month-old.
She's going to give me a look. She's going to look at me like, what do I look like? Chopped liver?
What the hell is this? I told you to get an iPad, and you got me this crap. What the hell are you thinking? But you'll say it in baby talk.
Yeah.
Wow. It's an interesting bid. But kids would have to be particularly.
I will admit, my kids will play with anything with a screen
temporarily.
I mean, but they definitely.
It's like, come on, come on. This doesn't have the fluid multi-touch gestures that I've become used to. Only it sounds like.
Well, the nonchalant. I got to say that what's scary is the nonchalant fashion in which she hits the power. She hits the little on button, and then she just kind of swipes it open, and then she goes like this, and she finds itsy bitsy spider and clicks on it.
How does she know that the charge is low?
Because it doesn't turn on. I mean, it's off. I mean, no, it was like as soon as it goes off, there's like this. Now that I understand what it is.
She doesn't know that you look at the battery and it. No. She's just. It's not. She knows that when she hits the bottom button and it doesn't come on, it needs to be charged. Kids today.
Yes.
A couple of quickies. Apple's earnings report. They've announced now October 18th. That'll be right about, I would guess, right about when the iPhone 5 starts showing up in stores.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe like an hour later. A Wisconsin library is now offering iPads to check out. That's a nice library. You can borrow an iPad from
with the entire library installed.
The L.E. Phillips Memorial Public Library in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, has 32. Oh, they're the first-generation iPads. 32 first-generation iPads. You can get it for a week if you're a card holder in good standing. And then 6 others are available for homebound card holders for a month. And then if you just want to be in the library, they have another 30 or 40 that just, are kind of in the library.
That's a great idea.
They're preloaded with 1,000 books. Pride and Prejudice, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Wait a minute, that comes with the iBook. Plus associated assorted audio books and apps. They got a grant to do this. That is very interesting. By the way, the overdue fee for the iPad, $10 a day.
Ooh.
After 10 days, full replacement cost of the iPad, along with accessory items, that's about $1,000, they say. So I think it's a profit deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're figuring we're going to make some money on this one. Twitter is going to have a developer meeting October 12th. Remember, October 13th is Apple earnings.
Wow.
October 12th, Twitter is having a developer event to discuss iOS 5 integration with Twitter. So they're going to London and New York. They're going to talk.
I wonder if this still gets back into the whole voice activation, because I have to admit there's a lot of times that Twitter would be more fun if you were doing it with a voice activation.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying overheard, you can just go like this. Say that again.
Wow. Wow. Wouldn't that be interesting? Actually, it's October 18th for the earnings call, October 12th for the developers. And Apple has donated 9,000 iPads to teachers working in impoverished schools. I think that is really cool. Those impoverished schools are in the U.S. It's the Teach for America program. They're the first-generation iPads. That's fine.
Have you seen the ad for their This is the best time to learn?
Yeah.
Ad? It is so effective.
They're smart, actually.
Yeah.
These are the iPads that customers donated. Remember Apple asked for your old iPad during the iPad 2 launch? 9,000 of them. So that's really cool.
So Apple didn't actually donate it. Apple organized the donation.
They organized it. They organized, and they probably put some money into refurbing and so forth. It's refurbished, looks like new. What a great idea. And then the schools can become iSchools. Steve Jobs' wife is a member of the board of directors of Teach for America. And we mentioned this last week, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Apple stores opened up massive crowds, although in this picture, most of the crowd is the Apple employees in the blue shirts.
Managing the flow.
Managing the flow. 300 people camped overnight.
That would never happen in the United States. That's just crazy.
For the opening of the first store in Hong Kong, some for as long as 2 days to be among the first inside. It is beautiful. Look at this. It's the overpass. That's just gorgeous. Hey, Andy, have you gone over to Grand Central Station? I know they've already started work, but they probably haven't opened that Grand Central Station Apple Store yet. You're going to go over and check it out?
No, but I was actually hoping to sometime either later today or my way back home tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think they've already started.
Just to get a sense of where it was.
Yeah. It is time now, ladies and gentlemen, for our iOS and Lion tips and then our picks of the week. You haven't been here in so long. Do you want to do an iOS tip?
I wasn't ready because I saw all these things. I thought people were now sending them in.
Forget it. Forget it. I have emails. I'll read emails. Do you want to do a Lion tip?
I can do. I like to change it from a Lion tip to a Mac OS tip.
Okay.
Because there's so many tips that like I've never used and like, oh my god, I can't believe you can do this.
Yeah, you shouldn't just say it's Lion. Yeah.
But I believe that this is an actual Lion tip. Apple has always had built-in readers for Quick Alert for a whole bunch of different file formats. They added, I do believe this is new in Lion. They added some little extra functionality so that if someone emails you an iWork document or any sort of Microsoft Office document, but you don't have iWork and you don't have Microsoft Office, that's okay, because the Lion version of Preview will not only let you open and read them, but will also let you print those documents. So it's possible you won't even have to download the 30-day trial if all you need to do is print off a copy of a contract or something and sign it and send it back. So that's pretty cool.
Tell you what, I'll give you an email, Alex. Thank you, Andy. From Bruce. We now have an email address, macbreak@twit.tv. I know Alex uses Flipboard. Do you have any tips? He just bought his iPad yesterday.
Just install a bunch of stuff on Flipboard. I don't have any tips other than it's the best application on. It's one of the best applications on the iPad. I mean, that lean back experience of sitting there and being able to have my coffee and flip through massive amounts of news.
I use it all the time.
It's just the best way to kind of get the morning grazing of
it's a magazine.
What's going on.
It's a beautiful magazine.
It feels like a magazine, but it's so much. It's
my pick of the week
is like 800
is going to be
pages.
related. I'm going to tell you about something related in a little bit. I have a tip though. This is one thing that I do because one of the things I want to do always with Flipboard is if I see an article that'd be good for MacBreak or one of our other shows, I want to be able to kind of memorialize it. And they don't have Pinboard and they don't have the integration to the bookmarking services that I like to use. But what I did is you can retweet. So, because it's very Twitter focused. So what I did is I created a new Twitter account that's just for links. It's called links_for_twit. And I made that the default Twitter account on Flipboard. So now, whenever I want to remember something, I will retweet it, and it'll show up in my links for Twit feed. And now, here's the nice part. Pinboard, which is the bookmarking service I use, pinboard.in, will monitor a Twitter feed looking for new stuff. So I say, so I can even put hashtags in it and all of that stuff, and then I tweet it out. So that's the way I found that it actually makes Flipboard even more useful for me. As I'm reading, and I love reading in Flipboard, I far prefer it to the other news readers on the Mac. I can still retweet an article, and it will then get into our feed and ultimately into our doc. So
that's awesome.
Isn't that a nice? There's a tip.
That's a great tip. I do have one more quick tip.
Please.
If you're hoping to wake up to your iPhone, just know that if you mute your iPhone, it will come on at full volume. Your alarm will come on at whatever volume you have set to. If you turn your volume down on your iPhone, it just comes in. It's really soft.
Did you oversleep?
I didn't oversleep, but somebody else did. And so that's where a lot of these tips come from, is me being very frustrated with someone because they showed up a little late. And then that might have just been an excuse, but just in case you're wondering if you're hoping to use it. I use my iPhone as an alarm every morning. So that's
a good tip. So mute it by the switch.
Mute it with the switch, and then it'll override.
But don't turn it down.
And the other thing to know is that if you mute it with the switch, don't expect it to mute your alarms.
Another good
point. The alarm pops up no matter what.
Here's the links for Twit account, by the way, and you can see the ones that I've put in. I have the little Twit logo, but I have other people that I follow on there. But there's a lot of links. This is a good account to follow.
That article about Santorum.
Yeah.
In Google.
Yeah. No, that's not in there, is it? No. You're seeing this article about Matt Cutts.
I saw Santorum at the bottom, at the top there.
Yeah. But it says Santorum and Google search qualities are Matt Cutts make the Colbert Report. Oh, okay. That's Santorum just extra. I know what you're talking about, though. We're just not going to talk about that. Let's see if I have another email. I'm an engineering student, writes Will S., and I have listened to the show for a couple of years now. Love it. I got a lot of scanned PDF from my professors, and I'd like to read or annotate them on my iPad with Goodreader. What's the best and cheapest tool to use on the Mac to OCR an existing PDF and have it output with image over text so that it looks the same, but I can select the text and the equations and charts retain their formatting? Will S. writes. Do you have a suggestion, Andy? Anything leap to mind on that one? I use iAnnotate. Instead of Goodreader.
Nuance actually makes Nuance of all people actually makes one. I can't think of the name of it. I think it's OmniReader or OmniScan.
Oh yeah, OmniPage.
OmniPage, and that's the one I use, and it works really well. I haven't compared it to a lot of other ones. OmniPage.
Is that to OCR PDFs? Was it?
Sorry?
Was the question. To OCR PDFs, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, you can use PDF Pen from Smile.
Of course. What am I thinking?
Right.
The Pro version does OCR.
built in, yeah.
I use OmniPage to actually scan
The
it.
normal version will do it as well.
Will it? So scan it with your scanner and then open the PDF. Scan it to a PDF. Open the PDF with PDF Pen, and you'll get text.
Yeah, you can then scan it from within PDF Pen, and it will generate the machine readable text.
I love, I used to use Goodreader, and now because iBook takes PDFs, I just put every PDF in iBooks. And I have a bookshelf on my iBooks of all the PDFs. I love it.
And I have every manual, every technical
Manuals. That's exactly what I do.
Every single technical manual that I don't even keep many. I'm like, when you get these little pieces of paper, and I'm just like, okay, first I make sure, and then I put it on there, and then I throw it away. And
I put all my all these radios. These ham radios have big, thick document. It's all in iBooks. It's really great.
And it's only in English. Sorry, you get all these manuals that are like in 8
Now, you remember
languages,
we
and
were
you're trying to
talking
figure out
about the fact that I had my iPhone fixed, and people were saying, oh, no, you can bring it in. We got an anonymous genius rating. He says, he works at the Genius Bar. We go through a lot of effort to make people happy, including, yes, swapping their broken phones, but here are the criteria that we're supposed to use. Your phone is within warranty or up to 45 days outside of it. That's good to know. You haven't done this a bunch of times. We take detailed notes based on the serial number of your phone, and the history travels along with the swapped devices. So you don't get an infinite number of trades. He also says, don't lie about what happened, and don't go to someone else who mucks it up. If something seems odd, we'll take it back to the back, disassemble it, and then we'll know. So don't just, if it breaks, bring it to the Genius Bar. Bonus info. If you are super nice, or if your store is super nice, or I'm sorry, or if your story
is super sad.
If your story is super sad, we're allowed to give you up to one device completely free. We put ourselves out there when we need to do that, though, so you really have to need it. In other words, they have to, I guess, justify it then to their manager. But his story was really sad. So make sure you
my dad dropped his iPhone 4 days after he bought it, and they replaced it, and then he bought an OtterBox for it to make sure that never happened again.
No, that's exactly my daughter. I bought her an iPhone 4 when she came back for Christmas. She broke it within a week. It fell out of her pocket or something. She brought it to the Apple store, and because we had just bought it, and she made a sad story, they just, without any charge, gave her a new one. So that's nice. This applies to the iPad as well, although the prices are higher. Your warranty makes it very clear that we don't have to do any of this. So they've never contractually obligated to do it. He says, we genuinely want to help you if we can. He says, nice shot. What's that? I like it, though. But I don't know what it has to do with what I'm saying here.
Yeah, sorry.
was there like a nip slip? They just abruptly cut away?
Like on Dancing with the Stars, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to abruptly cut away because I took my shirt off and said, you want a piece of this, bro? Your warranty makes it very clear we don't have to do any of this. We genuinely want to help you if we can. If you approach with a sense of entitlement or are a jerk, it really tends to sour us towards doing these things. So this is good. They have a lot. It sounds like they have considerable leeway.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's great, and we won't mention any names. It is now time for our picks of the week. Let us start with Don McAllister, who probably sees more software than any human alive.
Okay, well, I'm not actually going to do a software pick. I'm going to do a hardware pick this week.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm also going to preface it with a request that I need to follow through. In that one of the fans of the show, a guy called Paul Clark, he's putting together an exhibition of digital trees at the big event in London in a week or two. And what he would like us to do is to write or draw a tree on your iPad and send it through to him, and he'll put this digital forest together, specifically of twit trees. Now, Eileen sent me one. I've done one. I spoke to Alex at the pre-show, so he's going to do one. So if Andy and
There's my tree.
Leo could do one. I think, there's Eileen's trees.
Oh.
And then Don's is the one to the right corner here.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a really
nice,
Don.
Wow.
No pressure.
Well, the thing
He's
is,
the Bob Ross of MacBreak Weekly. Wow. That's impressive.
We're going to add some little leaves here.
So my pick.
How do we do, but before you say that, what
Well,
do we do with
get
it?
any drawing package on the iPad, I mean brushes.
And then what do we do with our tree?
Well, if you just draw the tree, and then it'll create an image file and send it to me. I'll pass them on to Paul, and he can.
Okay. So he doesn't have a public site that people could.
I think I'll send you a link. There's he's got some previous forests that he's done, and a link to the exhibition as well. It's the Skills. I think it's the London Skills Works exhibition. So a huge exhibition, 4-day exhibition next week. In fact, it starts the day after the keynote. But he's put a special exhibit together, and he wants to have the Twit forest as a bit of a centerpiece to it.
That's neat. So he's making forests based on people's drawings of trees. Eileen, would you remind me to do that?
Yes,
and we'll
I
get
will.
Sarah Lane to do it from iPad today, too.
Yeah, and Tom and all the other guys there. That'd be great.
Oh, all
so
right.
this is my pick.
Yes.
So it's this, which is the thing I use to create my tree. It's actually a Pogo... hang on.
Oh, the Pogo is Pogo pen.
Pogo Sketch Pro. I've had a Pogo before, but they're normally only little tiny things. This is a really nice stylus, which is like a proper pen. I tried to draw the tree with my finger, and it didn't really work out, to be honest. But this is really, really good. You can sort of hold it at all different angles. Am I actually shot here? Oh, there we go.
Look at that. That is so nice. So, Alex was the one who turned me on to the Pogo sketch.
It's awesome, isn't it?
From 10-1 Design. And, in fact, I bought 3 and gave, because they were so popular, you couldn't keep them in stock at the time.
I keep on losing them.
Yeah.
And
so I bought 3 and I gave you 1. And can I have it back? No, I'm just kidding. But now I want this. This looks really great. So it's the same idea. It's a capacitance device with a soft rubber tip.
And it's nice. It's not, having a larger version of it looks awesome.
It's like a real pen.
Yeah, it's like a real pen, and it's multi-angle. It's got like a rounded nib. You get a spare nib with it as well, so you can change it. But it's weighted really nicely. It's metal with a rubber grip, and I just found it really, really nice to, because I'm not a drawer. I don't draw normally, and that was the first drawing I'd attempted. And I say my finger wasn't working very well with it. I couldn't really do it with my finger, but this, I could actually draw a fairly decent drawing with it. So well recommend. This is $25, I think, around that mark.
Well worth it. Yeah, $25.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can get it in time to draw my tree.
I'm sure you could.
I need it. I want to compete with. I'm very competitive. I have to make my tree as good as yours. I'm very competitive.
Okay. Well, my wife still thinks it looks like a volcano, but we won't go there.
Oh no, I think it looks great. Thank you, Don. Alex, Lindsay, your pick of the week, my friend.
Look, check this out.
Holy cow! Wait a minute. Let me give you the. Do you have a mini display port on there?
I do.
Here, you can just plug that in, and we would actually be able to see this on the screen. I think it might be too high a resolution for us. I don't know.
I don't see anything.
Wait a minute. Here it comes. It's going to screw you up though, because it's going to change the resolution. Maybe not.
Did you see it?
I see a blue screen.
Yeah, you have to change it to a lower res, I think.
Oh,
what is that?
Do I see this?
Yes, you see that.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, now it's unhappy. It was fine before. Hold on.
It looks like, okay, I see VU meters. Let's guess what this is, everybody. It's obviously an audio device. Maybe it's a seismograph.
Let me see if I can.
Does it measure volcanic activity?
Broke something. No, it was fine.
Close it and open it again, maybe.
All right. Okay. Hold on.
What is it called?
Let's see. Make sure my sound. So this is called Spectre. It's available on the Mac App Store, and it is. And I somehow have broken it.
It doesn't like switching the resolutions, obviously.
So anyway,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you do that.
Fine. So anyway, what it does is I'm just trying to figure out why it is unhappy now. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
So
ooh,
check this out.
Ooh.
Look at that. All right. So
what the hell?
So anyway, so actually, I hadn't heard of this. I'd heard of the app, but I hadn't really used it. And then Neil Bernard from BBC TV, I'm not BBC, sorry, Neil, Bloomberg TV in the UK. I was in London last week, and he gave me a tour. But one of the things he pulled out when we were on set, he was helping me out with the Salesforce stream, and he brought this out to analyze our audio, and I was smitten.
I guess we should have
the technical term here. And so, these are all, you can just design what you want here, but you got the BBC meter, which is what I was looking at when I said that, and then the VU meter, you got your spectrograph to see where things are going, you've got your spectrogram, oscilloscope, and beyond anything else, it just looks awesome. So
well,
here's the
is
thing.
Is it $99 worth awesome? That's the question.
It is. Well, the thing is that these meters are actually pretty accurate, and when you're trying to figure out on a day-to-day basis, when everything's working, it's not that important. When bad things are happening and you can't figure out what's going on, when there's noise, what you'll do is, like in the spectrogram down here, you'll see little lines that represent these hums. In fact,
Hey, that's pretty good. I got a pretty good sine wave going there.
Next time on Ghost Lab. Ooh, do you see the spike? Did you see the spike?
So it's a lot of fun.
There's a little notch in my side there. This is fun.
That's why I own an oscilloscope. I've never used it to diagnose or fix anything. I just hook them. I just like to see the little line go, right?
And like for the oscilloscope, for instance, it doesn't make a lot of sense when we're talking into it other than looking cool, but it does make sense if you're doing test signals and so on and so forth to go in there to see what you're getting.
Hams would use this. This is great.
And testing, if you want to test lines and making sure that your XLR cable is working, these are a lot of the test things. And the peak and the medium for the level meter is actually really useful to know if you're really peaking. It gives you a little bit more information. And so it turns out, I mean, it's
using the built-in mic, but
now it's using the built-in, but we can have it look at our Kona card or whatever. Right. That's what we had. Is basically we had this hooked up.
If you're getting some buzz or hum.
This is basically, this is the scopes. Yeah. Like scopes for video. This is the scopes version, and it's pretty nifty. There's another one that has a couple more features called
Spectre, by the way,
Scopes Pro, and it was a bit more expensive.
SPECTRE. It's British spelling, and there's a $50 starter version, and then the $100
and of course
for the full version.
Me. So anyway, so it was, and you can design how you have the windows and set them all up, and I like it a lot. So anyway, that's my.
That is a great demo of just the Mac, that it can do that in real time.
Yeah, you can pay a lot of money for scopes that will look exactly the same.
Neat. It will also use network sources.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Well, and what we did is this was really valuable for is I was actually monitoring using Soundflower. I was monitoring our stream. We were monitoring the streams, how it returned back to our computer over from the internet to make sure that we were getting the proper levels and we're getting quality, and so it's good.
That's nifty. Andy Ihnatko, your pick of the week.
I'm a big fan of Amtrak, chiefly because in certain areas like the East Coast, it usually even makes more sense to take the train from point A to point B than to fly. It's actually cheaper from Boston to New York. It's actually faster when you factor in all the time you take to get into Midtown from the airport. And, of course, you get to spend 3.5 hours in a nice, big, cozy, comfy chair next to a standard AC outlet, and there's a cafe car, so whenever you want to get a damn soda, you go up and you get a damn soda. But I think just today, or for not today, within the past few days, Amtrak finally came out with their own iPhone app, and it's really well done. It's a very, very iOS-based, iOS-looking iPhone app. It's not just one of these, we built a web app and then just like encapsulated it in something. And so you'll get once you log in, it knows everything about your current trip and upcoming trips. It has the full station guide. It has schedules. And you also can, not only the where there's a local station, but also all the information you need about that station. So how many parking spaces, how late they open, that sort of stuff. But what I also really like about it is that it's easy to make changes in your reservations right from the phone. Because one of the other really big advantages of Amtrak is that right now I'm booked on a train like early in the afternoon tomorrow. If something comes up and I want to take a later train, all I have to do is show up for that later train, and if there's any price difference in those two tickets, all I do is pay basically just what that price difference is. There's no like $150 rebooking fee or anything like that. So now I can do all that right from here. So as soon as I decide that my plans have changed, I can just go right here, find out when the next train is or when tomorrow's train is, and then just make that change from there. So it's free from the App Store. It's just another example of why the iPhone works so well for so many people. It's not. You wouldn't have bought it just for the Amtrak app, but there comes that day when you realize that, oh, look, they've released a cool app, and now this is exactly what I need. This is now going to enhance my life every time I ride on Amtrak. So this is once again justifying spending $250 to break yourself out of your existing contract so you can buy an iPhone from whatever you got before.
I think smartphone is. I mean, it doesn't have to be in this case. It's an iPhone. Do they have an Android? They might even have an Android app. But I mean, the point is, this is smartphones are what make the difference, not iPhone in particular.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not attacking you.
No. You were right to attack me. You were right. I misspoke in a very, very simple way, and you were right on me.
Boom! Bet Dan Benjamin doesn't do that.
He sent me a cookie wreath. Okay.
You want a cookie wreath?
Number 2 most popular podcast on iTunes as of today. I've just been tweeting.
Number 2 now.
Number 2 in all categories in the U.S.
We're
coming after you, This American Life. Wow. Smug bastards with those old-timey glasses.
Guess Leo doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when he said no. What a fool I was. You showed me, Andy. Hey, speaking of number 2, we talked about Flipboard as being the number 1 app for reading news on the iPad, and I'd agree with that. But a new app just came out today. This is a tentative pick because I haven't had time to really play with it yet. I just downloaded it and started looking at it. It's called Every. Can you pick up? Yeah, there it is. EVRI. And while it's not going to be as pretty as Flipboard, and I love the Flipboard interface, it's an interesting idea. It's a topic-based news reader. But instead of giving it RSS feeds, you give it topics, and it will search for those topics and keep track of them, keep track of what your friends say, and every 15 minutes it updates. So it's a constant feed of information. EVRI, free, of course, on the iPad.
With an ever-increasing amount of news sources available on the web, keeping up with the topics
blah, blah, blah. Okay, too slow. Get into it. Get into the meat of it. She's got an orchid on her screen. You don't have to play the audio. I'm just so that we can see the video of it. You can see what it looks like.
For some reason, that splash screen, I was like, is this Windows 8?
Yeah, it does look like Windows 8, doesn't it? And apparently it fits right in your purse. Anyway, I guess this video's... There we go. I just wanted a little bit of a demo of the screen because I don't have my iPad with me today. EVRI, something worth looking at. Meanwhile, if you'd like to listen to the number 2 podcast in all the world, go to 5by5.tv. What's it called? The Ihnatko Files?
The Ihnatko Almanac.
Almanac, that's it. That's it. And you do it what day of the week?
We record it Monday morning, East Coast time at about 11, and it goes out about early Monday afternoon.
Perfect. It's Andy's latest show, and it's on the 5by5 network, and I'm glad that we could give it a little bit of a plug. And good luck to you with that number 2 podcast thing.
I'm sure. See, the person who tweeted this like about a half hour to 45 minutes ago. So I'm sure it's only because we started plugging it on the Twit network, the Tiffany network of podcasts.
Nice, thanks. Good save. No, I think that's great. I can't wait to hear it myself. Andy Ihnatko is also writes for the Chicago Sun-Times and his website www.cwob.com. Alex Lindsay is at the Pixel Core, pixelcore.com, and pixelcore.tv for your podcasts. Great to have you as our next door neighbor. So he installed Every already.
I'm that fast.
Wasted no time everying. And Don McAllister is at screencastsonline.com. There are some free screencasts there, but subscribe for all the really good stuff. He's also at Don McAllister on Twitter. Thank you for being here, Don. Can you come back next week and join our coverage of the new
sure,
whatever?
Yeah, sort something out. No problem.
I think it's going to be an iPhone, but who knows? We'll be doing that live 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern time, so an hour earlier than our normal broadcast time for MacBreak Weekly. Probably what we'll do is cover it, and then we'll go into MacBreak Weekly right afterwards and do a full show based on what we learn from Tim Cook, his debut as the Master of Ceremonies. That, again, is next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll also be covering the Kindle announcement tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern time at twit.tv, so tune in for that. Tom Merritt and I. Who else? Is Zayas going to join us? Anybody else going to join us for that?
We haven't asked. We haven't.
We should ask around. See who else wants to talk. All right.
It's really the announcement season.
It is. I love this. I love this.
Yep.
It's
free
fun
news
for us. Yep. Free news. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. We do MacBreak Weekly, as I mentioned, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays at twit.tv. Please do tune in. That's 1800 UTC. We'd love to see you. And we'll see you next time. Now get back to work. Break time's over.
Show off your phone, man.
Look at that. This is beauty. Wait a minute, I got to turn it on.
Congratulate Leo on his new rival, 6 pounds, 3 ounces.
Well, I think that what's going to be good
just make sure they're tagged properly.
One of the reasons I bought this is I wanted to make sure that I had this before the iPhone 5 came out. Ooh, it's doing some.
Oh.
Ooh, it's doing some sort of Android thing.
The heck? That didn't happen to me.
Crashing?
Wow.
What is going on?
Jailbroken.
It comes out of the box, Jill. This must be fairly scary to people. This can't be what it's supposed to do.
That did not happen to me, but I don't have the Sprint phone.
Is it an Android phone?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, if okay, Andy, take a screenshot. If you want to say anything bad about Android phones, that's it right there. Well, I got the Linux command line. What could you hate about that?
There you go.
Why did it go
I'm sure my parents wouldn't be a problem for them at all.
Right now, there are like 18 Linux people in the chat room saying, all you have to do is download a tarball and build the proper bootloader.
Were you holding?
I don't know why you think this is so complicated.
I don't think I was holding anything.
You weren't holding the volume.
Okay,
any of the rockers?
enter OK key. So where's the OK key?
Oh dear.
Adam?
The OK key. What the hell key is an OK key? This is a new key to me.
Oh, I'm so glad this happened during MacBreak.
I know. Well, that's why I'm doing it. There. Apparently the home key is the OK key. So we'll just let that sit there and simmer for a while. Wow.
I don't know what happened there.
That is exactly what Apple people are saying they wanted to see.